Good morning and welcome to Coventry Vineyard. If you're new here, you are so welcome. And actually, this morning's talk is especially for you.
Yep, so today is a Neighbourhood Sunday, and it's a time for us as a church to put into practice what we believe by engaging with our communities. It's about building authentic relationships and sowing seeds of the kingdom wherever we may live. And the reason we do this is that it comes out of what we most value. And so whilst we as a church move out into our neighbourhoods, we also want to take this opportunity to let you know about really our shared values as a church family.
So you'll hear about these every month, but today we want to let you know about the first and most important thing we value in Coventry Vineyard. So I wonder if you've ever thought about what you value. Over the past year or so, you may have had time to re-evaluate what is most important to you. Many people have, and I know we have as well.
Yeah, and what's most important to you is what you most value. It's what you find yourself thinking about most, what you spend your time on, your energy, your money on. And it may be what you like or post on social media too. So it could be something like a hobby, it could be your garden, it could be a particular sport or an activity.
It may be a relationship, particular person, or your family or friends.
Or maybe what's most important for you is your career. Maybe it's your education. At this point, you're really focusing on starting a career or achieving something to be proud of.
And when we were first married and had very little money for groceries or day-to-day living, we decided to sit down and work out what we really, really needed to spend money on. And as a result, what we would have to do without. And that was really hard.
It was really hard.
Because there were things that we wanted and loved, but we had to say no to them. For example, like a takeaway or going out for a meal, buying nice cheese in my side of things, or a newspaper or a book, things like that. But we did, however, determine that time away together was really important. So the money we saved on groceries or eating out budget, we put aside for quality time together.
Yeah, and when our kids came along, our set of values shifted again, and we had to kind of reevaluate what was most important to us. And so we were prepared to sacrifice other things to develop our relationship when we were first married. And I wonder, what do you value? What are you prepared to give up things for? For example, some friends of ours, their son had this dream about joining the Navy. And so during lockdown, he got fit and he lost an incredible amount of weight. And he was prepared to sacrifice his normal eating habits and lifestyle, really, as he placed such value on getting his dream career. And he's in that process at the moment of looking to join the Navy. Now in Coventry Vineyard, we have three main shared values, which are often known as the 3 E's. So encourage, equip, and express. And these are encourage worship, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. And it's encouraging worship in everyday life, not just on a Sunday. And the second one is equip people to live life as followers or apprentices or disciples of Jesus. Then the third one is express love. And we want to express love and compassion to our neighbours in practical ways. And we're going to talk about each one of those each month, but today we're going to focus on encourage worship.
So as Nick said, we are going to be looking at these on the first Sunday of each month, and we'd recommend that you would tune into the talks if you're new to Coventry Vineyard or if you're just wondering what we value most as a church.
And these Sundays are also a chance to connect with us, to let us know your story and ask absolutely any questions. And you can get in touch today through email or the link on our website. And there should be an address coming up on the bottom of the screen just here. Now, let's look at our first and really our most important value.
And that is, we exist to encourage people to worship God in everyday life. So let's look at this statement in a little bit more detail. It starts off, we exist. So as a community and as a people, our main reason to live, to exist, is our identity as God worshippers. And we want others to see this in us too. When asked what was the most important command, Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind." And then he added, "Love your neighbours," but that's for another talk.
So we also exist to encourage people. And I love the word encourage, but sometimes I'm not all that good at it. Don't laugh. I love it when people encourage me, though. When they support or motivate me to keep going with an action, with an idea or a project. And there are enough things in life which can discourage us. And so we choose to encourage each other. And there are enough things which can distract us. And so we encourage one another to focus on what is most important.
So we exist to encourage people to worship God. You see, a human being cannot help but love. And the question is, what is it that you love? What will you find that's worthy of your love? Put another way, what will you worship? See, loving and worshipping God is the most important thing we can do, because we do this, we become more like him. It changes and defines who we are. See, you become like what you worship.
And our ultimate love really determines our identity. These are the things which direct our thoughts and our actions, our responses, and also our attitudes. What we ultimately love, what's most important to us, ultimately governs our vision of life. We arrange our lives around that particular activity, and it's what shapes and molds us. In other words, it's really what's most important to us. Now, our ultimate love could also be described as what we worship. So really, worship is our highest priority.
And worship means to acknowledge the worth of someone or something. It means you recognise and say that someone or something is worthy of your praise.
So we worship the God that so loved each and every one of us, so loved you, that he gave his one and only son, Jesus. And so we read in John 3:16 and 17. It's a really famous passage in the Bible. And we've just chosen to look at the Message version because I think it just brings something which is maybe slightly different. It says, "This is why, so that no one needs be destroyed. By believing in him, anyone can have a whole and lasting life." God didn't go to all the trouble of sending his son merely to point an accusing finger, telling the world how bad it was. He came to help, to rescue and to liberate, to put the world right again. And so I don't know what your thoughts of what God is like. You might think that God's angry at you, but actually what Jesus says is God is like a loving father that's waiting and runs to a son or a daughter that's coming back home. And so when we see Jesus, that's who we see what God is like.
So, as Nick says, we worship him because of who he is and what he's done. Even when we're covered in guilt and shame, when we rejected him and turned our backs on him, he was there, ready to receive us when we're coming back to him. He's still ready to celebrate with his lost sons and daughters. We worship him because he is worthy of our worship. He's the divine, all-creating one, all-loving God. He's the light in the darkness. He's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Lord of all, and the Holy One. He's the King of Kings. So our love, our loyalty, and allegiance is to him and to his kingdom.
So we exist to encourage people to worship God in everyday life. So it's not just about Sundays, and it's not just occasionally in the week, but it's every day, and it's in every different way. We want to fix our eyes on this loving God, being changed and matured and transformed into more loving people, into the people that God created us to be, people who are like the loving God that we worship. Now, in the letter to the Romans, chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, Paul writes to those who are following Jesus. And he says, so here's what I want you to do. God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, drinking, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. That was well timed, by the way. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for him. He goes on to say, don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. And the result is you'll be changed from the inside out. He goes on to say, readily recognize what he wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity. God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you.
So what does this look like in Coventry Vineyard? How do we encourage people to worship God in their everyday lives? Well, practically we do three main things. First of all, we gather frequently to encourage each other to live a spirit-filled lifestyle that's holy and pleasing to this God we love. Now, this may be in person or even online like we are doing now, both in big and small groups, to encourage each other to live a life that's truly worth loving. Our Sunday morning gatherings and midweek groups are where we explore the Bible together and apply what we read in a way that brings glory and worship to God through our obedience. We also eat together, pray for each other, encourage one another to live this life that pleases God for the whole of our week, in our workplaces and family life, in our neighbourhoods and in our communities.
And as we read this being our everyday life, our sleeping, eating, going to work and walking around life, which we place before God as an offering and as worship to him, we want to be a worshipping community where all, from the youngest to the oldest, are encouraged to worship in every aspect of life. And this is so much more than just sung worship. Now, we love to sing together, but there's so much more to worship than simply singing.
So secondly, we practice daily disciplines. These can also be called habits, which cause an intimacy and reverence of God to permeate our whole lives. Just like a musician repeats and practices scales daily to become more comfortable with the playing and hear the different notes and tones and pitch better, we encourage each other to practice daily disciplines and to be able to hear God's voice better, to hear him more clearly and obey him and fix our attention on him. We all have routines, things we do regularly. So what's your routine for worship?
For example, prayer is something we do regularly through the day. And this could look like talking to God and about our day and listening to him. It could look like praying for the sick and seeing them healed, praying for those in different countries or in your neighbourhood. It might look like prayer walking. It might look like praying for your families and your friends. It might look like times of fasting or times of silence and solitude, which all help us to focus on God and be in his presence.
We also have termly retreat mornings where we learn skills that help us rest and be refreshed in God's presence, enjoying celebrating together at special times of the year, such as Easter, Christmas, Pentecost, and quite a lot of others. Other daily disciplines are we encourage reading and obeying the Bible personally, sharing it with others, and serving those around us. We have journey groups and life groups, which are good at encouraging this, as well as building friendships and community.
And then thirdly, we cultivate a relationship with God that is vibrant and strong and which radiates the light of the kingdom into all of our relationships. So back in that Romans 12 passage, it says, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what he wants from you and quickly respond to it. And so as we fix our attention on God through all of these practices of worship, we become changed and then develop a strong and vibrant relationship with him. And the result is this spills over into all of our relationships. People will notice. People noticed when the disciples were with Jesus. So when we're with Jesus, people will notice.
So what about you? Would you like to be involved in a community that values things like this? Or would you even like to just find out more? You may not have a faith or belief, and that's absolutely fine, but instead you may have lots of questions. It would be great to meet you and hear your story and listen to any of your questions. So please contact us on the details shown on the screen, and we can arrange a time to contact. So, in conclusion, what do you value and what are you worshipping? And is it making a difference in your life?
And if you'd like to find out more about the kind of life that is truly worth living, then do contact us and tell us what you think. You can also contact us through on the YouTube and on the chat that's going on. But yeah, we'd love to buy you a drink, have a chat, listen to your story, tell you a little bit more about this amazing church that Jesus is leading, we get to be a part of. So bless you, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. May you know God's presence with you.
Yeah.
May you love God with all of your being, and may you go out and also love your neighbours. Yeah. See you soon. Bye.